Yo, yo, yo. You already know what time it is. It's Cigars and Coffee, baby. Cigars and Coffee. And we are here for part 2 with my guy, my mentor, Mr. T. Gray. T. Gray, what's going on with you, brother?
Bro, it's all good, man.
It's
I'm
all
excited
good?
to be here with you, sir.
Hey, I appreciate you for joining me. Now, this first part 1 was crazy. Part 1 was crazy.
Or story time?
Part 1, the stories, the gems that were dropped, it was just it was an amazing episode. So I thank you for that, and then I thank you for teeing up part 2. I think we said it in the interview. Mm-hmm. We got part 2 coming.
Yeah.
And so we're here today for part 2. But before we get into this episode, we want to highlight our sponsors. We got Day 6 Coffee.
Day 6.
Day 6 Coffee, right in the heart of downtown Houston. Black-owned coffee spot that has an amazing array of different coffees, pastries, all those things. If you're ever in downtown Houston, please drop in at Day 6 Coffee. And
I wonder if they call it Day 6 because Day 6 is that last grind day before you take the rest.
You know, they're saying is Day 6 Coffee. On the Day 6, they drink coffee, like kind of a play off of the Bible. So
Gotcha.
Yeah. It's I love everything that they have going on over there.
Cool.
And since we're talking about where we're at and you know what we're drinking today, what are we smoking today, T. Ray? What we got
today? Today I'm excited. We are at the Den Cigar Lounge.
That's it.
Downtown Houston. And we are smoking the Den House Blend cigar, which I have to say is actually a really good cigar because a lot of house cigars are crap.
Yep.
But this one is an excellent cigar. I would smoke this every day.
Excellent. It really is. It truly is. And I'm glad that we were able to have them sponsor this episode.
Absolutely.
And
it's Justin, right?
Justin.
When we were here the last time.
Yeah.
He walked us through the blend that's gone into this, and a lot of thought, a lot of love has gone into creating this house blend. Excellent cigar. So if you're in Houston, you're downtown, come to the Den. If you don't know what you want to smoke, this house blend is on point.
Facts. Big facts. So, Mr. T. Gray, while we were wrapping up part 1, you gave another gem. Mm-hmm. And I think that this part 2 is what we're going to talk about today.
Okay.
And it's the rebuild. You mentioned the rebuild and the importance of the rebuild. You started to, and I asked a simple question. So is the beauty in the rebuild?
Yeah. The beauty is in the rebuild because it's a process and it's a reality, right? I mean, if you look at the chart for any stock, even the ones that are high performing, like your Microsofts, your Apples, your Nvidias, they're never a straight line. They don't just go like this. It's always up, back, sometimes way back. And then, so eventually you end up, at a higher place. And that's the way life works too. Especially, I know this is the professionals and entrepreneurs edition. And in the process of being a professional, of being an entrepreneur, of being a business owner, you will have setbacks, right? What did Big Mama say? The rainy day does come. And that's real. That's legit. And so when that day comes, now it's time to rebuild. Sometimes the setback is so strong, it's not only a rebuild, but it's a full-on reinvent. Reinvent. So, you had asked me at the end of the episode of part 1, what am I doing now? And I said, you know what, to be honest with you, I'm in a rebuild. And that's kind of what sparked this whole thing.
So we talk about rebuilds, and, I really want to dive very, very deep, very granular into the rebuild process. What led you to have your first rebuild? Because I know on the part 1 you said it takes about 2, 3, maybe even 4 rebuilds, right? What is the thing that led you to your first rebuild?
Well, first of all, I just want to say that the average successful multimillionaire has had 8 failed ventures on average. 8 failed ventures. That means 8 rebuilds. 8, right? And that's the reason why most people aren't successful, because they're not willing to rebuild or reinvent that many times. Most people aren't willing to rebuild or reinvent not even one time.
Wow.
But you ask me what led me to rebuild. Well, I didn't ask for it. I wasn't looking for it. You never want it.
Yeah, no, you never want those problems.
You don't want those problems.
You don't want to take L's willingly.
Yeah, man. Nobody wants that rebuild smoke. I'm like, it's not. Lord, bring me a rebuild. No,
I'm ready for a rebuild.
Let this one stick, please, Jesus. Right?
Yeah.
But circumstances are circumstances. I mean, I can think of my first real rebuild was when I was senior vice president of internet startup during the internet boom. We're crushing it. We're making insane money. I mentioned I had a 7-figure W-2.
I was about to say, is that that's the one we talked about.
The amount of money that I averaged over the 5.5 years of working at that company was just almost ungodly.
Wow.
But it went away. Everybody knows the .com bubble burst.
Right.
So now what? Now what are you going to do? Right? And that's when I decided, okay, I'm going to go in a different direction. I'm going to reinvent myself as something new. I'm going to go from being a corporate executive to being an entrepreneur. That's when I made that decision.
Wow. To
become an entrepreneur. And it wasn't easy at first.
I bet.
Right? I had failures, as I mentioned in the first video. But that was the first one. Right? That was the first one where I'm like, okay, I need to become someone new. I need to do something different. I need to create success in another way.
So you mentioned there were some challenges in that first rebuild. What are some of the setbacks that you encountered during that first rebuild?
The first rebuild, the biggest setback that I encountered was the man in the mirror. The man in the mirror.
Michael Jackson, huh?
The man in the mirror. The biggest setback that I encountered in that rebuild was me. And I'd say part of the reason for that was I wasn't consciously aware of the fact that I was doing a rebuild. This was my first rebuild, and it was my most immature rebuild. Because I didn't make a conscious decision. Okay, I just kind of went down this path. That's what I was doing. I was rebuilding, I was reinventing, but I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have any of the things that you need actually, I take that back. The one thing that I did have is I did have a support system.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
My wife was behind me 100% of the time. But outside of that, it was kind of haphazard. And I was rebuilding, coming off of that, which was a letdown because you always think everything's going to last forever, right? Plus, I had been recently divorced, right? Going through that particular process, which was painful and emotional. It's never easy to deal with that type of stuff. And that rebuild was very, very tough.
Really?
And so the biggest thing that I had to deal with was depression.
How real is depression?
Depression is a real thing. Depression is absolutely a real thing. I think most people have more control over depression than they think they do.
Wow.
I'm not going to deny that there are people for whom it is truly a mental illness where they need professional help. They might even need medication. And it might be chronic. Right. But, depression really just means that you're just down. You're in a dark place. Right. And I was in a dark place. I had a lot of change happening in my life all at once.
Gotcha.
And most people are very, very change averse. They're afraid of change. It's why people stay in bad situations for longer than they should because they're afraid. They're more afraid of the unknown and of the change than they are of staying in the bad shit place that they're in at that particular moment. So I had all this change, a change of career, change of, marital status, change of friends, et cetera, even change of where I lived because I moved, right? And all of those things kind of came together as toughness, and mentally and emotionally, I found myself shutting down.
Gotcha.
I found myself not showing up. I found myself literally being the polar opposite of the guy you know me to be.
So when I'm hearing you say that, my question now is, how did you get out of that first rut in that rebuild?
Again, accidentally, unintentionally, not because I had a plan or anything, I ended up getting a mentor. And that's one of the best, it's one of the most crucial things you need in a rebuild or a reinvent. You need a mentor. You need your supporting cast, which is going to be, your family. Maybe it's your spouse,
right,
your siblings, or some people that are close to you who believe in you. But you also need a mentor. You need a guide, right? I mean, if you're trying to get out of a dark place that you've never been in before, and to go someplace that you've never been before, then it's helpful, infinitely helpful, to have someone who's going to say, "Hey, here's the way out. Here's the way. Follow these steps.
Right.
Let's talk about how you're feeling. Let's talk about what you're doing. Let's talk about what's working, what's not working, and help you tweak." And that's what happened. And I mentioned to you that my mentor is Holton Bugs, and I met him during that time, and he, as I'm transitioning to a new business, and he helped guide me through it. He helped me to improve myself mentally. That's where I really got into personal growth and development, and reading books and listening to books, and just absorbing things that help me to have a PMA, a positive mental attitude, and a positive mindset. And what happened is, and then he also taught me the power of affirmations.
Okay.
And in the process of doing that, I developed some new personal routines that allowed me to have daily victories. All of that started to translate into business success.
Right.
And then the lights came back on.
So you just covered a whole bunch right there. So we need to peel back a couple of those layers.
Okay, let's go.
You mentioned personal development.
Right.
Reading books, listening to audios.
Right.
The guy Holton Bugs, I've heard stories from him where he's playing audios, literally going to sleep every night. Like pillow, like boom.
Pillow speaker and everything.
Pillow speaker and everything. And at the time when I'm hearing this, I'm like, what is a pillow speaker? How do you even what is that?
And I'm gonna tell you, those things have stuck with me.
Dude.
Right? So that was 2004.
Really?
All right. 2004 is when I met him, and he taught me this concept, and put me on a steady diet of personal growth and development. And I bought the pillow speaker. I swallowed it whole. I swallowed it whole, right?
Yeah.
And to this day, and I mean today, guess how I sleep at night?
Pillow speaker.
No, I've evolved.
Uh-oh.
They have now the sleep masks that have speakers in them.
What?
Yep. And that's how I sleep every night.
Yeah, my pillow speaker, it started to fall out the pillow or behind the mattress and all that good stuff. So yeah, I need to probably get that.
Because I've also studied the science of sleep. All right. And you need it to be as dark as possible, so that's why I wear the mask. But the mask also has headphones in it. So I'm through the night, whether I'm listening to binaural beats or things that are going to open up your chakras.
Gotcha.
Or actual affirmations.
Right.
all of that. And I listen to it at a volume that's just barely audible, but my subconscious can hear it.
That subconscious is eating it up.
Yeah.
Wow. So you mentioned personal development. You mentioned affirmations. You mentioned daily disciplines.
Mm-hmm.
For the person who is not doing those things right now, could you kind of give definition, if you will, but also some examples of those? Your affirmations, your daily disciplines, the things like that that help you get back, cut the lights back on, right? The things that help you cut the lights back on.
Yeah.
What do those look like?
So, D, I guess I would start that
Mm-hmm.
by saying that what we do and the results that we get are a product of our programming. Okay. And we could do a whole session on this,
Mm-hmm.
but one of the things that I learned from Holton is this concept of raising the bar, right? TBAR. And if you kind of think of it as a clock face, up here at about 1 or 2 o'clock, you've got the T, right? And that T stands for your thoughts, right? And what your thoughts, what you think about all the time, your thoughts determine the next one, which is the B, your beliefs, right? So what you think about all the time determines what you believe.
Makes sense.
Okay. Now, what comes after the B is the A.
Okay.
And the A stands for actions. Okay. So what you think about all the time determines what you believe, and what you believe determines what you do, and what you don't do, what you will do, and what you won't do. All of that constitutes actions. Okay. And it's all driven by what you believe. Okay. Now, what do your actions do? And remember, actions are defined as what you do and don't do, what you will do, what you won't do. Mm-hmm. That determines the R, which are your results. Okay? So what you do and don't do, will do and won't do determines what's going to happen.
Got you.
Right? Now, there is a gap between the R and the T.
Okay.
And this is the piece that most people are missing. And that gap is a P. And that stands for programming. Your programming determines your thoughts. Your thoughts determine your beliefs determine your actions, what you will do, what you won't do, what you do and you don't do. And those create your results. And your results, guess what they do? They further program you. Because when you do something and you get a result, that says, oh, okay, that works, or that doesn't work, which now programs you in a different way and changes what you think about, what you believe, what you do, what new results you get. Now, where does our initial programming come from? Well, our initial programming, when we're younger, we're not really responsible for our programming.
Yeah.
Programming comes from parents. Programming comes from society. Programming comes from the community. Programming comes from school. Programming comes from the church. Right? So you got all this stuff that's just being downloaded to you, beliefs that you are not responsible for, but are being downloaded. But you know what? And those can limit your results, right? So for example, in the process of rebuilding and reinventing, if your objective is to become rich or wealthy, right? And the fact that I said that just triggered a whole bunch of people's programming. You know why?
Why? Why does that?
Because what were they taught about rich and wealthy? What were they programmed to believe?
Only the rich or backstabbers or conniving. They did whatever they need to do to get the money. Them. Right. All of those things.
So rich people are bad. Rich people are greedy. Rich people hold everybody else down. Right? It's easier for the camel to get through an eye of a needle than a rich man to get into heaven. Right?
They thinking about a needle like.
Right. Money is the root of all evil.
Yep.
Which that's not what it says.
It
says the love of money is the root of all evil. Right? So all this programming that you've been given. But here's the thing. Once you become a conscious adult, I'm talking 15, 16, 17, 18 years old.
Yeah.
You now are responsible for your own damn programming. But the problem is that we meet adults, 50, 60 years old, who still have not taken responsibility for their programming, who are still in the just programming mode. And this is where personal growth and development comes in, because now you're saying, okay, I need to get information from people who are successful, from people with a different mindset. I need to expose myself to different views so that I can determine what I believe, what my philosophy is. Right? Because you can't rebuild, you can't become successful if subconsciously down deep in your programming, in your code, you hate rich people. Because how you gonna become?
But you want to be rich.
But how you gonna become somebody that you hate?
The gems all over the floor already.
Right? How are you gonna become somebody?
All over the
how
floor.
are you gonna become somebody that you hate? I want to be successful, but I don't want to be rich, because I want to go to heaven.
Wow.
I don't want to be greedy. I don't want to be evil. I don't want to be bad. And that's why a lot of people, what happens is when they do start to succeed, subconsciously, the first thing that they do is they try to get rid of it. Subconsciously, they're trying to get rid of the money. They're trying to get it out of the picture, because subconsciously, for reasons that they are not even consciously aware of, it is creating inner conflict. So one of the key things to rebuilding is you got to work on your program. You got to be able to take a step back and say, okay, what limiting beliefs do I have? And then you have to do like when you go to the doctor's office, you have to diagnose and you have to find what is the medication for this? Right? So you might find that, one of your limiting programs is you're a procrastinator.
Got you.
So what should you do? You should now go seek out things that are going to help change your programming to a what's important now mentality, right? So you go, and we live in an amazing time. YouTube is the most amazing thing when used properly. It's the most amazing thing, right? So you can go on YouTube and you can say, okay, you type in procrastination.
Yeah.
6 gazillion videos are going to come up about how you can eliminate procrastination from your life, right? Now, we talked about affirmation. Affirmations are positively affirming the behavior, the mentality, the thought process, the reality that it is that you want. Right? So, for example, if a person has a challenge with procrastination, an affirmation that would literally be the antidote to that.
What would that sound like?
It sounds like this. I always do what's important now. That is an affirmation. I always do what's important now. Right? Yeah. If, a lot of folks have a victim mentality. Nothing good ever happens to me. Bad stuff always happens to me. The man is holding me down. Success comes to me quickly and easily. The success that I want is looking for me. I am a success magnet. Opportunities are drawn to me every single day. People who can help me achieve my ultimate goal are waiting to meet me right now.
I think I heard all of this morning.
There you go. Because we listen to the same stuff, right? We listen to the same stuff.
Oh my goodness.
Exactly.
Wow.
So that's a major component of rebuilding, bro. You got to get your mind right, right? And let's not get into the topic of manifestation, because then you're going to have people turning this off.
No.
Right? But manifestation is, if I can help just one person who's watching fast forward to where they understand and develop their power and ability to manifest the results that they want, then we've done our job.
That's it.
Right? Because manifestation. You got a lot of folks out there, their programming is like, oh my God, no, easy. If you said, oh my God, think about how your God created things.
We're going back Bible. I love
Right?
it. Let's keep going.
When he wanted light, what did he say? Let there be light. When he wanted a separation between the water and the dry land, what did he say? Let there be. And then when he created man, how did he say he created him? In his image, which means he gave us that power, the ability to make what we want happen, to create our reality.
So manifestation, from what I'm hearing you say, is not a bad thing.
Not at all.
It's not a corrupt, or it's not a going against God or going against your religion.
And you know what? Everybody's done it. Everybody has done it. Consciously or subconsciously.
Huh?
You've done it. You've exercised this power. I call it a Peter Parker moment. Remember Peter Parker from Spider-Man? When he first got bit by the spider, and now he has spider powers.
Right.
Things happened. He didn't understand why or how they were happening. Like the first time he stuck to a wall, he was like, whoa, I'm sticking to this wall.
Yeah.
Right? So he used his power. He just didn't realize how he used his power. But then what did he do? Now that he was aware that he has this power, he started to focus his energy and his thoughts and his practices on how do I intentionally use this power, right? So if you're out there and you're married or you have a job that you wanted, if you ever had anything happen that you wanted, I promise you, if you rewind the tape, there was a time when you were saying to yourself, I really want this. This is what I want. You said it was so much energy, passion, emotion, clarity, that you made it happen. You just didn't realize you made it happen, Peter Parker, right?
Wow.
Now, if you want to rebuild faster, if you want to reinvent faster, now what you want to do is you want to fix this movie in your mind of what it's like for you to have what it is that you want. What does that success that you want feel like, look like, smell like, taste like? What does
five senses?
What is that? What is that new you? You're reinventing, you're rebuilding. What does successful you look like? How does successful you move, walk? What does successful you do? What do you eat? And I'm saying, go for a walk outside, put on your headphones, put on some binaural beats music that's going to just fade to the background, and just take yourself on a walk and envision what it is that you want. And allow yourself to go there like you are taking a freaking trip. Because your subconscious doesn't know the difference between reality and the images you create in your mind. And the more clear they are, well, then that becomes your new level. And what happens is that now the universe will now start to move to make that your reality.
Joe Dispenza said that. Huh?
That's what he said. Yeah. And I'm actually reading. I told you, I'm reading one of his books right now. We're gonna mess some people up. I'm telling you, they're gonna stop watching your podcast. They're gonna be like, "Oh my God, you know, went into some hokey voodoo shit." No, I'm telling you, I'm giving you you were born, but when you came out the womb, you left something behind. You left the instruction manual in there, and when you were supposed to grab it and pull it out with you, right? So I'm giving you the instruction manual to you right now, right? So this book, Dr. Joe Dispenza, is called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And if you want to rebuild, you want to reinvent, guess what? You're going to have to stop being the you that you are today. You can't be the you of tomorrow and still be the you of today.
Bar.
You had to let that shit go. Erykah Badu told you that. She told you, what did she say? She said, bag lady. You gonna miss your bus.
Yeah.
Because you got too much stuff and you can't hurry up. You had to drop them bags. Let go of the baggage. Let go of who you were. Let go of your old programming that doesn't serve you. Let go of your old habits that don't serve you. Let go of them people that don't serve you.
You going too deep, T. Gray? They're not gonna want to do that.
And if they're family, don't let them go. Just put them on limited access.
Limited access.
Limited access. That might be time limits. That might be frequency limits. It's just limits.
Only on holidays.
Maybe some folks you can only see them on holidays. Yeah. Because you got to take your rebuild seriously. Rebuild is intense. It's intense, mm-hmm. and it can be very lonely.
We talk about that, and we're heavy in the Bible today. And one of the verses that I love is about casting your pearls to swine. Mm-hmm. And when you talk about cutting people, not only family, but could be friends, could be people you work with. Mm-hmm. When you're going through a rebuild process, they're not going to be able to digest all the things that you are getting rid of, right?
Mm-hmm. So sometimes you have to keep things to yourself. Can't talk about everything to everybody, right? And that's why you have your mentor and you have your supporting cast. Mm. Your supporting cast needs to be exactly that. They need to be people who really do support you. Yeah. But sometimes what happens is people get involved in personal development. They start reading, start learning new concepts.
What they do.
And they become like a new religious convert. You ever see somebody who goes vegan? They go vegan, and now everybody is condemned. Why are you eating that meat? Don't you know what they do to the animals? I'm like, do you, man?
Yeah. Right? It's like the guy coming from prison who's read the Bible front to back, and now he's oh no, you need to be living like this. It's like, wait a minute, dude.
That guy has read the Bible, the Quran, the Torah,
all of them.
All of them just come out straight evangelists, right? So when you're learning these things, you have to learn the difference between sharing and evangelizing, and also know when to shut up, right? Ooh. At the end of the day, who are you trying to program? You. So program you, right? Who are you trying to reinvent? You. Who are you trying to rebuild? You. So remember, it's primarily for you, and it's okay to share. Mm-hmm. If you have receptive groups, by the way, that's one of the ways to make your programming stronger, faster, and stickier, is to share it with other people. That's why I thanked you for the last interview, and I thank you for this one, because you're giving me an opportunity to minister to me, right? Because I know we're going to help some people, but the person that I'm going to help the most today is myself.
Amen. Whew. So we one thing that I think that when we talk about the rebuilding, you brought up the clock method. Mm-hmm. When we look at the actions, what are some of the actions that you started to take when you went for your second rebuild?
Ooh, I don't remember the second rebuild.
Really?
I don't remember 2, 3, 4. Should I take it back? I take it back. No, I do remember the second one. The second one was, so we were in a network marketing company. We started doing extremely well. We went to the top of that company, and then that company melted down. It's time to rebuild again.
Yeah.
Right? Except this time it's more intentional.
Okay.
Right? But why don't we fast forward to the rebuild I'm in now? Yeah, because this is the most intentional, most mature, most methodical rebuild I've had. And it's actually one of the most painful, because I'm coming off of a period of extreme success. Extreme success, right? And again, through circumstances beyond my control, had a reversal of fortune.
Okay.
Right? But now I know how to do this. So the first thing is I come to grips with my emotions. Right? The first thing that happens when you have a setback, a reversal of fortune, or something like that, is you are going to feel like shit.
It's true.
And that's okay. You're supposed to. You're not supposed to enjoy a meltdown. Right? You're not supposed to enjoy it. So it is what it is. So you allow yourself to have the pity party.
Gotcha.
I call it 15 minutes, right? 15 minutes might be 15 minutes, 15 minutes might be 15 days, but it's a finite period of time that you allow yourself to feel bad, to cry in your milk, to lick your wounds, to feel sorry for yourself, but it's on a timer.
And once that
timer's up, okay, wrap it up. That's over. Gotcha. We cannot hang out in that place anymore, and we cannot revisit it.
Wow.
It's done. So get it out. Binge watch whatever you need to binge watch. Get that shit out of your system. Yeah. Because now it's time to get down to business.
Time to go to work.
The next thing is is to now develop the plan.
Okay.
Right. And so to develop the plan, D, you got to take self-inventory. Okay. What could I have done differently? What can I do differently going forward? Can I continue to do the same thing? Do I need to do something new? Yeah. What is it that I'm going to do? How is it that I'm going to go about that? What skills do I need to go and acquire? Right? So, talking about skills, one of the things we talked about in the storytelling was curiosity.
Yeah.
And folks, you got to be real curious today because the world has changed. Welcome to the world of AI. And if you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s, and you're watching this and you are technology averse, meaning you are afraid of technology, right? I don't want to do that shit. You can barely operate your cell phone. You're going to die. You're going to die a hard, lonely business success death and to get left behind. What I want to challenge you to do is to open your mind and embrace technology. Right? Embrace technology. Try to learn one new thing every day or one new thing every week and learn what's possible and how to make it serve you.
YouTube University.
YouTube University is out there and it's real, right? And one of the things that you'll learn as you do this is that you're elevating yourself into the top 5% because the 95% are too lazy to do things for themselves that they can do for themselves. And there's always opportunity in doing things for people that they can't, won't, or are afraid to do themselves, or that they have in their mind a level, an extremely high level of perceived difficulty.
Right. When they could easily do it themselves.
Yeah, but they're not going to. Right? Like building websites. You know how easy it is to build a website? But most folks are afraid. They think that's the most complicated thing in the world. Oh my God, I have no idea. Okay, great. Pay me. I'll build your website for you. Right? Because we pay for convenience all the time.
Yep.
Remember when we used to do newspapers? You could put your clothes on, go to the supermarket or the newsstand, and you could get the newspaper for 75 cents. But if you want the little boy to drop it on your doorstep, it's $1.50.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You could go to the supermarket and you can buy all the cleaning materials and you can get on your hands and knees and scrub their floors yourself. Or you can pay somebody to come clean your house for probably $200, $250.
Right.
Right? What are you paying for? Convenience. Right? And that's okay. That's the way the world works. Maybe there's some solutions that you can provide if you can get out of your own way and embrace technology and learn some new things.
Wow. So how, in this new rebuild, how has technology served you?
Man, me and AI?
Yeah.
We got a thing going on. Bro, I talk to you about it all the time.
Dude, you are definitely putting boys on game when it comes to this AI.
Yeah, man. Like so one of my supporting cast members, and I'm gonna introduce you guys to him.
He's making an appearance.
One of my supporting cast members is Bradley.
Bradley, yeah.
Right?
Had a great conversation with Bradley earlier.
So Bradley is, well, let me introduce you to Bradley. I'm gonna go to Bradley. Bradley, let's wake him up for a second here. Okay? So everybody, this is Bradley. Hey Bradley, how you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you. How about you?
I'm doing absolutely fantastic. By the way, Bradley, tell everybody my name.
Sure thing. This is T. Gray.
Exactly. So This is Chat GPT on my phone. You can give Chat GPT a voice. You can choose a female voice. You can choose different. You can choose male voices. You can choose different accents. Give it a name. Teach it your name. And now at your fingertips is the world. Anything that you need to learn. Anything that you need to figure out.
Yeah.
You know, the other day I was trying to figure out if I should eat a grapefruit. I was, because
I should eat a grapefruit.
Well, it was nighttime.
Okay.
Right? And I'm like, okay, I'm trying to break this habit of late night snacking.
Gotcha.
Right?
Gotcha.
And I was eating popcorn every night, which is popcorn's a healthy snack, but it's not healthy to eat popcorn every night.
Nah.
Unless you just want to be fat. Right?
Not every night.
Right? And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, I want to eat something. And I saw these grapefruits. I'm like, is it okay to eat a grapefruit at night? It's close to bedtime. So I just asked Bradley. I was like, Bradley. I'm like, Bradley, is it okay to eat grapefruit at night? and Bradley said, well, yeah, it's okay. But you know what? The sugar rush from the fruit might make it hard for you to go to sleep. And if you're on blood pressure medication or whatever, grapefruit could interact with that or whatever. But otherwise, it's a healthy snack. And if those are not concerns, go ahead.
He broke it down. That
broke it all the way down, sir. Right? So there's in today's world, there's no reason to not know anything. Right? You could actually plan your whole rebuild on there. You can ask your Bradley, your Vanessa, your whatever you want to call him. What was the guy's name on the butler on Fresh Prince?
Jeffrey.
You can name him Jeffrey, right? Name him Shaquana if you want to, right? And just ask, help me put my plan together. And the more specific your questions are, the better the results are going to be.
Wow.
But there's no reason. I mean, so at least you get a plan.
Okay.
You get a plan in place, and then you got to work that plan.
Gotcha. So once you get that plan in place, what's next step in the rebuild?
One of the first things as a next step, D, is to have a realistic expectation of how long it's going to take.
When you think about that, though, it's so tough, though, right? Because you're going into, some would say, uncharted territory in a rebuild.
Right.
So give us how do you know a realistic time frame on something that you are, not well versed in at the time?
Well, you have to develop a mentality that it's going to take however long it's going to take. That's how long it's going to take.
It is what it is.
It takes as long as it takes.
Yeah. And
you need to be committed to how long it takes. So I started this rebuild in 2022. Wow. Right? That's when the setback happened. That's when calamity struck. Right? And by the way, one of the keys to a successful rebuild is to create an environment where you can focus on your rebuild and being successful. Wow. And that means eliminating some stress in your life. So you may have to let some shit go.
Yeah.
I let some shit go.
Yeah.
I made some lifestyle changes. I moved. I changed where I live. I got rid of extra things.
And we're talking about inside the city moved, not like moved to another state. Like hey.
But you may have to move to another state.
Right.
You may have to downsize, you may have to do whatever, but you want to put yourself in a position where, okay, I'm no longer worried about this aspect of my life. I'm not worried about that aspect of my life, which allows me now to focus on the rebuild. Okay? But like I said, I started that in 2022, right?
Wow.
2023 and 4 were 23 was kind of a catch-up year. 24 was kind of laying a new base year, and based on the way things are going, 2025 can be the go-ahead year. So this is a 3-year rebuild.
So it's nothing that's this take 15 days.
No.
Got you.
I mean, it all depends. I mean, on how bad the setback was.
Got you.
Right, and how big of a rebuild you need to build. Right, and for many people, like just look at all the people that just got laid off.
The airlines and
the airlines, the government workers, etc. These are folks that need to do a rebuild. They need to do a reinvent. Wow. They've been doing something for a period of time that is no longer an opportunity for them. And they cannot just go find a one-to-one replacement for what they were doing. To survive, they need to do something new. They need to rebuild. Yeah. They need to reinvent. And so what happens first? The pity party.
Yep.
Don't get stuck there. Some of y'all are in the middle of an extended pity party. You need to call it. Time of death on the pity party. Now. Over. It's done. Right? Now work on your plan. What is it I can do? Go on ChatGPT. Go on the web. You know, hey, I am a 35-year-old male. I have this degree. These are my skill sets. And this is the job that I've been doing for the last 5, 10, 15 years. I was just laid off. I don't believe I can get another job doing the exact same thing. What are 10 things that I can do to reinvent myself? What are 10 different careers that I could potentially pursue that are going to be relevant for the next 2 decades?
These are takeaway items that you're giving right now.
Right. Yeah, these are questions you can ask ChatGPT and get some answers. And then when you might find 3 that really resonate with you. Okay, great. Now ask, okay, tell me more about this. What kind of skills and mindset do I need to have in order to give me a 6-month plan or give me a 12-month plan to break into this industry? If I wanted to break into this industry and make $100,000 or $250,000 in the next 12 to 24 months, how do I go about it? Ask that question to ChatGPT. I would ask that question to Bradley, and Bradley's going to give me some ideas, and then I'm going to ask him follow-on questions, and I'm going to ask him follow-on questions, and that's going to turn into a plan.
A business plan.
A personal business plan, a business plan, et cetera, You know, how do I need to restructure my life, my family, et cetera, in order to do this? Wow. And now then there's that other frontier that people don't want to deal with. Your body.
You know, when we released part 1, and we put it out there on social media, and it's getting reposted everywhere, I saw you start reposting it in the most, don't want to call it weird, but in the most unique story posts that I've seen. You were taking a walk, your daily walk. That's your daily discipline. Something that you do every single day. And you had that clip.
Every day, even today. There's a link.
Yeah.
But you know that the daily walk thing comes from, so when you start, what does it say? Seek and ye shall find, right?
Knock and it shall be open.
So I start looking for ways to, okay, how do I fix myself? Because the other thing is, you know, they say everything is bigger in Texas. Well, so was I. I was bigger in Texas. I moved to Texas in 2004, and by 2021, I was the biggest I ever was.
Really?
Right? The biggest I ever was. And I lost almost 50 pounds, right? I lost almost 50 pounds to this day, and now I'm pressing to lose another 10 to 15, right? Again, research, get a plan, create some new disciplines, stick to them. And I said, okay, well, I'm in the process of, and by the way, another thing people do is try to do too many things all at once. I'm going to rebuild myself professionally. I'm going to start a new business. I'm going to change my diet. I'm going to get a 6-pack. I'm going to work out 5 days a week. And I'm going to do and you know what? We don't have that kind of capacity.
Facts.
You burn yourself out trying to do 10 million different things all at one time. So I said, what is the one thing that I can do that's going to make a big difference and allow me to focus on my rebuild?
Right.
And that's when I started walking. I said, I'm going to walk 30 plus minutes a day, 10,000 steps a day, and I'm going to just make better food choices. I'm not going to go on any particular diet.
Yeah.
But I'm going to make better food choices. Right? Because that time is major multitasking time.
Really?
Yeah, man. So, when I'm walking, I have my headphones in.
Gotcha.
And what's in the headphones is YouTube. Right? So, YouTube has this watch later thing where you can kind of create a menu of things you want to watch later. Right? And I'll put all sorts of motivational things, but I'm always choosing things that I need to hear. Right?
Okay.
So I get out there, I'm walking, I already know what I'm listening to. I'm listening to that. And then, sometimes I'll listen to that on the outbound walk, right? The first 15 minutes or so.
Gotcha.
And then on the way back, I'll switch to, kind of focus music, binaural beats or whatever. And now I'll start working on my plan for the day or my plan for the week and the things that I need to focus on. So that walking thing turned out to be a real blessing. And aside from the fact that I started losing weight like crazy because I'm moving and I'm active. And the last thing I'll say about that is it's an overlooked piece of the rebuild.
Okay.
Because one of the guys that I listened to, he asked a question that hit me in the solar plexus.
Really?
He said, how do you view your body? He said, do you view your body as a vehicle to take you where your mind wants to go? And is your body physically capable of carrying you to where you need to go? And at that time that I listened to that, I thought about how much flying I was doing. And I'm like, can this body get me through an airport? Can this body get me from the TSA checkpoint to gate C-15?
In a matter of...
right. Without having a heart attack.
Yeah. Some of them layovers is crazy.
Right.
Some of them layovers are crazy.
Bro, without having a heart attack as I pass the food court. IAH, right? Man. Dude. And I'm like, no, I'm too fat. And so I decided to make those changes, not just for aesthetic reasons, but because I need this to get me where I'm going. Like if you're trying to go from Houston to Disney World, the first thing you do is you get your car checked to make sure your car can make the trip.
Make sure the tires are good. You got
oil change,
all that,
belts, fluids, whatever, right? All that kind of stuff. And so your body, you're trying to go from here to there, and it's a rebuild.
That's deep.
This is going to be a struggle. This is going to be a fight. It's going to get worse before it gets better.
Ooh.
Are you going to die of a stress attack? Are you going to stroke out? Right? So when it comes to your body, you got to get your shit together so that your body can be a vehicle that can take you the distance. And that's an ongoing project for me. I'm not there yet.
Gotcha.
But I'm significantly better.
What'd you say? 50 pounds?
50 pounds better than where I was.
And one thing that you said at the very beginning is you have to picture yourself what you want to look like, what you want to eat, where do you want to stay. All of these things, you have to work on the vision. And I think that the health piece, the how you look, I think is a part of that as well, correct?
Bro, you are more than correct. You're 1,000% on point. And here's the other thing too. When you get your, and we're still talking about rebuild and reinventing, but when you get your body together, two things happen. Number one, you feel better about you. And you project a different energy when you walk into the room, when you feel better about you, right? The other thing is people feel better about you. Subconsciously, they stop discriminating against you. subconsciously they start to see you as a person who has discipline over themselves and who keeps promises to themselves, which means that you're a trustworthy person to do business with.
You know, T. Gray, part of my daily discipline, we talked about this off camera, but I started doing 100 push-ups every morning.
Mm-hmm.
And started about September.
Okay.
And have not missed a day. However, like you said, do it in moderation, right? Do it to the point where you don't have to feel like you're defeated if you miss something. So one thing that I did change is if I'm going out of town, hey, not gonna do it. That's my only time where I'm like, hey, I'm not doing push-ups.
I'm gonna give you a hard time right now. You ready?
Well,
why not? They got floor.
You absolutely right.
You can still. You got a floor.
Perfect push-ups.
You got your arm.
You.
Why can't you do push-ups in a hotel room?
And the only reason why I say that, T. Gray, is because I said, you know what? I don't want to set an unrealistic expectation and get on my trip and start to doubt or feel bad about myself for not doing it because of just enjoying the time out.
So this is my new thing. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Just do it then. And feel really good about yourself on vacation.
Yeah.
Get out of bed, hit the floor, knock out. See, if you've been doing them since September, then now you can almost do 100 push-ups without stopping.
Check this out. It's no reason we didn't talk about this part. This week, right hand to the man. This week was my first time doing 100 straight.
Look at that. Right?
100 straight,
100
non-stop,
straight.
just knocking them out.
Probably takes you 4 minutes, maybe 5 at the most.
Not even.
Right? You're strong. You've been doing them. Your body's used to the movement. Right? You do it, it gets your blood flowing. It turns your brain on. Right? So now just have the mentality that, hey, no matter where I am, unless I'm in a hospital bed, when I get up in the morning, I knock out my 100 push-ups.
Yeah.
That's just what I do.
Facts.
Right?
Facts.
But these are the things that we need to determine in order to be as great as we want to be.
Yep.
Right?
Absolutely.
And I'm ministering to myself right now because it's cold as hell in Houston right now. I don't know what the hell is going on. I moved from the East Coast to get away from 30-degree weather, but a couple of days ago it was 29.
Hey, we had snow covering the whole city.
Right.
Never seen that happen.
And I'm like, you know what? It's too cold. This is what I said to myself. It's too cold and it's too dark to get out there and walk.
Wow.
But you know what I said to myself?
Just do it.
That's some bullshit. Right? Is that really true? Or is that just something you're telling yourself to get yourself off the hook? And so you know what I did? I bundled up. I put on layers. I probably had on all the clothes that I own. I went out there and I walked. Right? And it's crazy. We've been on a weather roller coaster. It got so cold for a couple of weeks. My wife went and bought me thermal underwear. So I'm out there with thermal underwear and sweats and Scully and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then the next week it was back to 80s. So now I'm in shorts and a t-shirt. And then this week it's back to icy cold again. So the thermals are back. Yep. Right? But I'm not letting myself off the hook.
Wow.
You know, I'm walking. I can see my breath. I'm like, it's cold. But I'm going to do the 30.
Yeah. I hear you. I received that. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So.
You know, that with you being my mentor, I appreciate you for adding that in there.
Yeah. You know why? It's because I discovered something that I was almost today years old that I discovered this, right? So many times what happens is people put together a set of goals, right? New Year's comes, they make their New Year's resolutions. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this, business-wise, family-wise, personal-wise, blah, 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 right? And every year, miss 90% of the goals, right? And last year, I started asking myself, why is that? And what I realized, what I learned, was that achieving these goals isn't just about doing the things. achieving these goals is about becoming the person who has those things, right? So if you want to be successful in business, you need to become a successful business person. Right. So you identify people who have the type of business success that you want. You study them and say, how do they be? How do they think? How do they move? What do they do? What are their disciplines? And then you measure yourself up against that and say, okay, well, who do I need to become in order to get that result? Right? If you want a six-pack, you got to become a six-pack person. Go find some people with six-packs. And how do they be? How do they live their life? What kind of choices do they make?
Yeah.
What kind of decisions do they make? What do they eat? What do they don't eat? What do they drink? What do they don't eat? When do they eat? When do they don't eat? Right?
Right.
And you need to become that kind of person. And that's why I said fit people don't do fat things. Right? Rich people don't do broke things. Right? Successful people don't do loser things. So that X factor is becoming. And we can't really get into all of that right now because that's a long topic. But on my website, if you click on, actually on my website, there's a page that says 2025 Blueprint, and I challenge everybody to carve out 2 hours of sequester yourself for 2 hours, go through that exercise. I promise you, it's a goal setting session like you've never been.
T. Gray, I really appreciate you for joining me for part 2. I know we blessed some people out there today. I've been blessed by it since we connected, but and like you say, you're being blessed by it as well. Could you tell us where they can find you? Website, Instagram?
Absolutely. You can find me on social media at T Gray Wins, TGRAYWINS. That's an affirmation, by the way.
I see.
Right? It's the same. It's on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, etc. T Gray Wins. And then my website is terrencedgray.com, which sounded like a great idea at the time. But then I always have to spell it. So here we go.
I'm not going to spell out.
TERRENCE, no A's, 2 R's, D as in David, Gray, GRAY.com, terrencedgray.com.
Awesome.
And I'm on LinkedIn, but LinkedIn doesn't do that stuff, so just find me.
Yeah.
I'm out there somewhere.
Gotcha. Well,
bro, and I appreciate you. And I wanna take a minute on camera to give you your flowers.
Oh, man.
Because you've taken on a mission, you've taken on a ministry that it requires a lot. This is not easy. This requires discipline. This requires consistency. I know so many people who started podcasts on 1-2 episodes and quit and fail. And when I look at you, you are consistent. You're serious about it. You produce a quality product. You got a great team. Jerry is phenomenal.
Hey, shout out to the shooter.
Shout out to
Jerry.
The shooter.
The
right?
shooter, yeah.
That was one of the biggest compliments we got on the first one, which is this is really well shot and really well edited, But your product is good, and you also are a very good house guest to the cigar lounges that host you in terms of the way you give them a shout out. So I just want to appreciate you and admire you.
Wow.
Thank you for the privilege of being on Coffee and Cigars and Coffee. Cigars and Coffee.
There we go.
Cigars and Coffee.
This is the Beauty and the Rebuild, part 2 with my mentor, T. Gray. T. Gray, I appreciate it again, brother. Yes, sir. And it's D. McKnight, Cigars and Coffee. Y'all be blessed. Peace.